So it's around about that time in the month again when the anticipation for the newest Attack on Titan chapter slowly starts to rise. And I feel like over the past couple of months, because of the situation that we're in, because we're in the climax of the story, the conclusion, my anticipation has slowly turned into being extremely nervous on what's to come, what is to be expected to be released in the upcoming chapter, what characters are going to interact with one another, who is potentially going to die or get heavily injured. It's obviously been like that for quite a bit, ever since the whole Eren situation with Ymir and Zeke. Everything has just escalated far past, I think, what a lot of people would have originally expected. I think it would have been very difficult for people to pinpoint what Eren would truly do, how far he would truly go. And now that we're pretty much getting those answers and we're seeing the actions for it and even the consequences for it, everything's pretty much thrown up in the air. What's going to happen with Eldians, with Marlians, with the rest of the world even? How is this all going to come crumbling down? Or how is this all going to be nicely wrapped up in the conclusion of potentially billions of people dying across the globe? Last month's chapter gave us a bit of a breather. It was a step back from Eren's perspective and showed us a lot of important dialogue, a lot of important conversation and information surrounding a lot of different people's perspective, how they view Eren at the moment, how they view the world, and pretty much the height of this anxiety that people have, the height of anxiety towards this event that Eren has put in motion at this point. As much as it jumped away from Eren and the spotlight of this event in its entirety, I think it was extremely important to actually witness, because a lot of characters at the moment, if you haven't noticed, are slowly building up to somewhat form a group. This has been happening for quite a bit of time, yet the previous chapter really set that in motion, that a lot of these characters are going to meet up in some way, shape or form and either fight with each other or slowly and collectively work together to pursue something different. And at the moment, that's pretty much the only opportunity that could be a possibility against Eren, considering Eren is so powerful at this point. There's nothing saying that this group of people that could come together is even going to stop Eren, but it pushes that idea forward that there could be something there, something that we are missing, something that Eren's missing, something that everyone else is missing. We don't know the depths of Eren's abilities. Has he fully replaced Ymir? And if he has, what type of abilities can he actually access? Can he create Titans? Could he take Titans away? There's a lot of mysterious questions surrounding that, and the only way that we're ever going to get some sort of answers for that is if the group that slowly comes together as a collective starts to work together and potentially confront Eren in some way, shape or form. And I think this is slowly what we're leading to, because the previous chapter split up a lot of different people from one another to morph them into a specific group. Mikasa went with Jean and Flock, Armin is on side with Gabby heading towards Falco and Connie, and then not far from that is Hanji and Levi with the Car Titan and that general or commander, and somewhere in the middle there is Annie with that other chick trying to escape all of this. The way I see this going as a collective group building exercise, if you will, is the biggest people that we should be focusing on is obviously Armin and Gabby. As much as a lot of people per se dislike Gabby, she has this very scary sense of drive within her now. Even though she's very understanding at the moment of Eren's situation, even the Connie and Falco situation, as desperately upset as she truly was towards it, she's still somewhat understanding. She's got this drive that I think will work really well put in the right hands. The hands that could mold that into something extremely dangerous is Armin. And then when you think about the possibilities of Armin controlling a bunch of people, which is something that he's pretty much always downplayed himself on, you can slowly see it leading into one another. That all of these things are kind of coming together so these characters can shine specifically, not on their own, but together. Wouldn't be surprised if Annie runs completely into Armin and Gabby, as well as the Falco and Connie situation. That creates its own little group. I don't really know how Annie would approach the situation, but maybe she would have a decent conversation with Armin, which I really would love to see. I don't know if they would specifically join that, what I'm going to call Armin group, but the Hanji and Levi situation is something that seems almost out of left field, like you don't really know what to do with it, but considering you have such a powerhouse that is heavily injured, it's something that you can't really ignore. I guarantee if it was any other character other than Levi, no one would really bother with this situation. No one would really want to view it as like, oh, this is a weird thing. But because it is Levi, because he's extremely dangerous, and because he's heavily injured, his ability to fight, his ability to act on any sort of action is so up in the air at this point. We really don't know know what he's capable of. And there's only two different ways that it can go. One, he's done for the rest of the story. He's so injured that he cannot fight against anyone else, and that he won't even play some sort of powerhouse role at all, which would be completely understandable because of his injuries. But on the other side, you have this desperate attempt to save something, this desperate attempt to fight back or get that revenge that he wants, even though he is injured. So I think it definitely comes down to the point within that group of like, if Levi is going to be played upon in some way, shape or form, it's going to be in the factor of fighting. And it's seemingly building up to be a very desperate attempt to fight. Because of his injuries, because of how hurt he truly could be, this is either going to make his fighting really sloppy, or for some reason it's going to make it extremely refined. We really don't know the full potential of like the whole Ackerman bloodline and how powerful they truly are. Having the strength of Titans is something pretty ridiculous. So when you bring forth the idea of healing potentially, or how far he's willing to truly go to potentially stop Eren or take out Zeke, depending on where Zeke is, I can definitely see him fighting with the state that he is currently in a little bit of time. I just find the situation with Levi extremely interesting. The fact that it's being played upon in such a weird way just makes me think there's some sort of importance there, that Hanji and Levi are going to find a way to be in this fight directly, especially with the Cart Titan and with that general. We don't know what they're planning. They're obviously against Eren, but the way the chapter is kind of detailed makes it seem like everyone's trying to escape, everyone's trying to disappear. And that's been a concept for quite a bit of time, but this is the first detailed expression and perspective we're seeing from so many different people. You're either escaping or you're fighting to some extent. And I don't really believe Hanji and Levi are just going to give up and disappear. Even though it kind of seems like that within the chapter, I feel like there's a lot more there. So when you have Armin's group, you have Hanji's group with Levi, you have Annie who's right in the middle, you have somewhat of 3 different Titans allocated in this one specific area. You have Annie, you have Falco, and then you have the Cart Titan. That's a decent amount of power right there. And it's definitely not enough to take down Eren, but the idea that there could be more possibilities within the abilities that Eren has to potentially push forward to a better future, I think is definitely a thing. I've been saying it for quite a bit of time, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that can be explored, but because of how far Eren has been pushed, because of his desperation to set his people free and destroy the people that are continuing this hatred, he's turning a blind eye to everything. And it's not out of negligence, it's not out of ignorance or anything along those lines. What he is doing is in the confinement of what the world has created him to be. And it's tragic. It's saddening to see. He's been pushed so far to take this only option. But if other options are presented to him, how would he respond to that? I don't think he would just give up with what he's doing, obviously, because he's already set things in motion. But there may be some sort of questioning within it. And if Eren starts to question things on what these abilities that he now potentially has could do, then we're leading down a different path. The biggest thing that's interesting to me right now is, one, where is Zeke? Because he's somewhat of an anomaly at the moment. We don't know where he is. We know he's most likely extremely injured, but he's still out of sight, and that's kind of a scary thing to have. But also the fact that Eren is building this colossal titan, extremely larger than the Wall Titans, right in the center of all of this. We have yet to see that in action, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a glimpse of it in the upcoming chapter. There's a reason that I find that fascinating, and it's because of why would Eren want to put himself in a titan form if he could potentially control everything from this space that Ymir was in? If he could activate the rumbling and all of these events, draw every single Eldian person within this space and tell them that he's going to obliterate the world, why would he have to physically put himself in the field? Obviously, we don't know the full extent of Ymir's abilities and what Eren potentially has now, but what is known is that he has a physical form. That means in some way, shape or form, he can be defeated, or at least his titan form can be defeated. Even though it seems almost impossible to do, there's a lot of characters here with a decent amount of power that could either stall Eren or slowly dwindle him down. And even defeating him, if that's even a possibility, is not going to stop everything that's happening, but if there's a point where these people can slow Eren down to talk to him, to potentially connect to him and give him these different ideas, then there's a possibility. The thing is, I'm also curious on why this titan form is so incredibly different different and massive. It's almost building up to be something that's not going to move at all. Like Eren's going to somewhat sit in one place. Now that could be completely wrong, but just judging by the factor of the size of the thing, it seems impossible that it's going to walk around unless it has a different form of movement or grows a different form of legs, you know, so it's not necessarily humanoid in the sense of original Titans, but it's something else entirely. There's a lot of questions that I definitely have. There's a lot of things building up, and honestly, the amount of mystery surrounding everything at the moment, the amount of mystery surrounding the direction of the story, what's going to happen, who's going to die, how is this all going to come to a conclusion, has got me extremely excited, but also nervous. It could literally go in so many different directions. I could see Isayama definitely killing billions upon billions of people through Eren, and as much as that would be a very difficult way to end the story, it's definitely in sight. But I can also see all of these other smaller opportunities slowly rising. Him playing on Armin and Gabby a lot more. Him playing on Hanji and Levi. Him bringing back Annie. There's a lot of players currently out there that Armin could collectively bring together and bring a different opportunity, a different outcome potentially to Eren with whatever physical form he's currently building for himself. The thing for us at the moment is that we really know nothing about Eren's capabilities. What powers does he truly have? What other opportunities could there be? Isayama has done a beautiful job in building up this perception that there is no other outcome that could be good, that there is no other outcome that's going to bring any sort of peace or prosperity or future for either side to coexist in some sort of harmony, and that definitely could be true. But we're still missing a large chunk of what these abilities could be, what they could be formed into, and with Zeke somewhat being an anomaly at the moment, he was the only person to bring forth a different opportunity using that ability. If we can skewer Zeke's opportunity, his plan, surely there's something else here, right? Is it too late, or is it just getting started? I guess only time will tell. So with that being said, that is basically it. Let me know what you're all excited for the upcoming chapter of Attack on Titan. I'd really love to hear your thoughts, but I'm actually going to end the video off here. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.